I wanted to film from a different angle, but my tripod is temporarily missing. We think it might be hiding somewhere in the car. We're not sure. The van. Anyway, having my morning coffee, which is what I usually have for breakfast, or, well, for my morning intake. Um, Got to do some work, looking for a job. That's going to be difficult. Online jobs, they don't really have much. Uh, Jobs that require my physical presence might be somewhat difficult. I've got to figure that out. Um, Substitute teacher is a possibility, but then my concern is not only getting class to class, but also restroom breaks. Um, so I got to figure that out. I had been doing Uber before the pandemic hit. Um, the trouble is that once I lost a lot of customers because people weren't going anywhere because everything was locked down, especially the college. And then I started really analyzing how much money I was making, and I realized I really wasn't making much. When you took away the gas cost and maintenance costs and everything else, um, I was making very little. I might have gone out, for 4 hours and made, like, I don't know, not a lot, $60, but spent $25 on gas, uh, which means it's $35 for 4 hours work. It's not a lot of money in the end. So I've got to figure out some work because I'm the bills need to be paid and it's tight. So anyway, and my OnlyFans is just not catching up. That's a joke. I don't have an OnlyFans. I don't think I could ever successfully have an OnlyFans. Anyway, so I'm just looking for work. Kind of the regular kind of thing I do. I have to do it on the computer, not my phone, because sometimes there's a lot of websites that need more input than I can easily do on my phone. So, wish me luck, and I wish all of you luck if you are in similar situations. And of course, I always wish you well. Hello again, back in the kitchen. It's time for another installment of Cooking with Mark. So today I'm going to make bread. Now, I started doing this partway through. I'm having a cup of coffee, excuse me. Partway through the pandemic. I needed bread, because I was out of bread, and I didn't feel like going out. So I did what any normal, sane person does when they are out of bread and don't feel like going out. I ordered a bread machine on Amazon. Don't judge me. Anyway, I like making my own bread because partly it makes me think about what's going into my body. I like a heavier bread, like not a big fluff loaf like you get a lot of times at the stores. So this is a 1.5 pound loaf. You can do 2 pound loaves, but I find that, sorry, I gotta look back and forth. That is just a bit too tall. It's an impractical size when you slice it. So a 1.5 is good. So start with 1 1/4 cups of warm water. There we go. And then we start adding stuff to it. 2 tablespoons of milk powder. Now this recipe will work, I guess, if you have a bread machine. I guess it'll work if you don't have a bread machine and you knead it and punch it and all the other stuff you're supposed to do. All right, so 1 1/4 cups of warm water, 2 tablespoons of powdered milk. I'm not sure what the powdered milk does, but it always seems to be in a lot of the recipes. And then next comes 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. This is the recipe that came with the machine. It was in metric instead of, well, I mean the tablespoons of that, but the cup was metric. I did some conversion because there we go. 1, 2. I kind of got it memorized because that's the loaf I usually make. 2 tablespoons of, there we go, that. Put some stuff away as we go. Get in there. 2 tablespoons of oil. This is a new one. Probably got to break a seal. No, I don't. And just vegetable oil. Don't use olive oil because it adds flavor, unless you want the flavor. This is kind of doesn't really add flavor. 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. There we go. Maybe a little bit extra by accident. Done with the tablespoon measurer. There we go. Get on there, you. Yes, I am not a professional. Next comes a teaspoon of salt. Now the book has these all go on top of the flour, which I find it better if I put it in with the water, but you know, to each their own. Don't want to put too much salt. This recipe I think had a misprint because it had a lot more salt, and the bread actually tasted salty, which I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to actually taste salty. And we're done with that measuring thing. Next comes the flour. I've pre-measured it. It's 2 cups of bread flour, white, and 1 cup of whole wheat flour. I'm sure there's a way to do it all whole wheat, but it has to do with the gluten, and it like rises too much because the bubbles get too big or whatever. So this goes on top of the water in the machine. So we're going to make sure we dump it in. Dump, 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 dump. Little tap, make sure we get as much out as we can. Done with the measuring cup. And last but not least, and I lost the measuring thing, there we go, 1/2 teaspoon of yeast. And some recipes have got a lot more yeast. The yeast it grows on its own, so I mean, 1/2 teaspoon should be enough, and it works for me. Sometimes I make a bit of a generous 1/2 teaspoon, but still 1/2 teaspoon, and that's done. And that is all the ingredients. Then it goes into the machine at the proper setting, and away it goes. Get on there, you. And while I have you, I'm going to reach over to the fridge, if I could just move that aside a little bit, or maybe I put it more in the way. Another little tip. Again, to sort of stave off hunger, but without eating bad things like chips and stuff, I boil eggs. And if I'm hungry, but it's not really a meal, and I know that it's actual hunger, again, making sure it's not boredom, I'll eat a boiled egg. Salt and pepper. Some people put hot sauce, whatever, however you want to do it. Took me a while to learn. I finally found the best way to boil eggs for hard boiled. Because you don't want them overdone and you don't want them underdone. So, cold water and salt, enough to cover your eggs. Put it on high. Wait until it reaches a good boil. Turn it off and wait 13 minutes. And then cold water, or even ice water. That actually, not only does it cool it and stop it cooking, it also helps loosen the shell. And I used to poke holes in the eggs, but one time I forgot, and it worked just fine. So you don't need to bother poking little holes in the eggs. That was to release air pressure. So there's your staving off hunger tip. Boiled eggs. Not a lot of calories. It's all protein. It's good protein. Again, if you don't like eggs, don't do eggs. But finding things to prevent you from overeating bad stuff is important. I know that I could easily overeat bad stuff. I know a bag of chips, a big bag of chips, I could go through that easily before. And I'm training myself to not want that, to not do that, and to not have that around. Not having it around is a big thing. But then you need alternatives, because you are going to feel those times when you want to eat something. Anyway, I'm going to put the bread in. At some point, I will come back when the bread is done. It takes about 3.5 hours in the bread machine. And I will unbox it. It's not really a box. I will reveal the loaf. And I don't know if I'll cut into it today, because
I don't always have bread. It's convenient. I maybe have 2 or 3 slices a day when I do eat bread. Some days I don't eat bread. But sandwiches are good. There's nothing wrong with bread. Like most things, as long as it's not in excess, it's okay. It is carbs, so I don't eat too much of it. Anyway, coffee. Cheers. Sweetener. This one's got half and half. Usually I use powdered creamer, but my daughter insisted that she only likes half and half, so I bought half and half for her. And then while she was here, she didn't drink a single cup of coffee. So now I have all this half and half. It's going to go bad if I don't use it. So it's in my coffee. Cheers. And stay tuned for the great bread reveal. Welcome to my humble yet cluttered kitchen. It's time to play Feed the Fat Guy. So I'm going to share not only what I eat, but maybe some tips. So first of all, I'm going to have a can of soup. It's ready to serve. It's one of my favorite flavors is split pea, but that's just me. A big trick to see is the calories. So this one unfortunately has it per can, so 330 calories per can. It says 2 servings per can, but I'm going to eat the can. It is a meal. 330 calories for a meal is actually pretty good. Hang on. There we go. I like to have pretty simple food when the kids aren't here. And soup is an easy, simple thing to make because you just heat it up. If I had more people to feed, I might make a soup. I've never really been that successful making soup. But, you do what you do. So little secret I found is I heat it in this, sort of because the handle doesn't get hot. And then I can put it in a bowl so the bowl doesn't get hot, so I can handle the bowl. But while it's heating, because I got to do a couple things, a couple tips. First of all, keep hydrated. That helps keep the hunger pangs away. If you feel hungry, maybe try drinking first. Now, this is a no-calorie or low-calorie, sugar-free drink mix. I don't just drink tap water usually because where I live, the tap water is pretty chemically. So, a no-calorie, low-calorie drink mix. And a nice cold drink helps fill your stomach. And keeps you hydrated, because you got to keep hydrated. And by the way, there's no magic 8 cups a day. That was actually just invented. 8 cups a day, there's nothing wrong with it. Just don't think it's magic. It's just a number that was made up. So that's one way to keep yourself from being hungry. But try to think, am I really hungry? That's an important thing too. I am a bored eater, and I have to know that. So I have to think, wait, stop a minute. Am I hungry or am I bored? Not so much a depressed eater, although that does happen too, but a bored eater. So recognize what makes you eat when you don't need to eat. So me, boredom is a big thing. But again, drink. Another thing I do sometimes, if I know that I'm hungry but I don't want to eat too much, is a couple things. Is protein shakes and protein bars. Again, medical advice I have received over the years has always been higher protein, less carbs. So a protein shake, especially made with something like almond milk rather than cow's milk, is going to be about, hang on, I can look it up. Okay, where is it? So 30 plus 180 calories for a serving of protein shake mixed with almond milk. Drink it slow. Almost chew it. Another little trick. Try to make things last. So I could just guzzle it because it's like a shake. Gone. No, take a sip. Kind of like almost chew it. Let it last longer in your mouth. And then, that gives your brain a little trick. Oh, I'm eating a lot of food. Oh, I'm intaking a lot of stuff. Same thing with the protein bars. Now they're about 200 calories, the ones that I have. Make sure they're good at protein, low on carbs. Take little bites and chew. Let it last longer. Let the flavor last longer. Let your mouth work longer so your brain is thinking there's more food. That way you can make those 200 calories. Maybe your brain will think you've eaten 1,000. Okay, time to stir this up. Because it takes more than one heating through to get it all the way through. Microwaves are terrible. They kind of heat things unevenly. So you got to stir it in the middle to make sure it's going all the way through. This is roughly the process I do if I'm heating up like leftover chili, which I have some. But I don't know how much the calories is on that. Hang on, let's take a taste. Oh, it's almost actually hot enough. Excuse me, get your nose. Let's put it in for just another 30 seconds. 30 seconds. So those are 3 tips. How many tips did I give you? Drink. Low calorie, no calorie. Make sure you know if you're hungry or just bored or whatever your cues are. Protein supplements instead of meals sometimes, or instead of snacks definitely. When you know you're hungry, try to have something like a protein supplement. Eat slowly, drink slowly, and make sure it's more protein, less carbs. Check with your doctor. If you have issues, I don't want you going against anything a doctor might say. If you are in a situation where you need carbs for whatever reason, or you get weak if you don't have enough carbs, by all means, talk to your doctor. I'm going on what my doctor has told me is that a lot of it, you need to have higher protein, lower carbs. Very simple rule. And not that hard to follow. I'm going to show some other food later. But for now, I've got my drink, which is, like I said, low calorie. I have to, hang on, I've got the thing here. Let's read the label. All right, so it's, for an 8-ounce serving, it's 5 calories. This one has more calories than some of the others because it's orange. Nope, they're all 5 calories. So 5 calories per serving. So this is maybe 2 cups, I'm thinking. So that's like 10 calories. Don't be too strict on counting calories, but just be aware. Be aware when it starts hitting 1,000 and then 1,500. Your body needs a certain amount to run. And the trick is you want to be a little bit below that. Otherwise, you find yourself where you have to like really get jogging and exercising. But don't starve yourself. Your body does need things. Needs nutrition. If you're having too many supplements and not enough real food, that's dangerous because supplements don't often have vitamins. So don't be afraid to take vitamins, multivitamins or whatever. But make sure you're getting the vegetables and the natural protein, meat, fish, whatever. Fat isn't really an enemy because fat doesn't store as fat. I know that sounds weird. Sugar stores as fat. It's all how the chemistry of your body works. Fat doesn't convert to body fat. It gets burned up or goes through. Sugar and carbohydrates, chemically, your body can convert those to fat for storage. And you want to burn off your fat reserves, not build up more fat reserves. I'm not an expert. I know I'm sounding like an expert. Please don't assume I'm an expert. I'm a person who has tried many times to lose weight and just kind of given up or not felt compelled enough. So this is information I have gathered over many years, but I'm not an expert. I don't have the training. Don't be afraid to talk to a doctor. Don't be afraid to talk to a nutritionist. Watch out for quacks that are trying to sell you something. There is no real magic formula. If you're expecting to take a pill and lose weight overnight, it's not going to happen. Even surgery is not magic. Surgery decreases the size of your stomach and decreases how much food you should be able to take in at once. But that shrunk stomach can stretch. People can regain weight after that surgery. It's kind of a way to try to force you to eat less, but it's not magic. You can still gain weight. You can still fail to lose weight. Uh, I researched it. The doctor wanted me to lose like 100 pounds before he would even consider it, because as he explained, most people wind up halfway between their starting weight and their goal weight. So if you're trying to lose 200 pounds and you get the surgery, you'll wind up about 5 years later about 100 pounds overweight instead of at your goal weight. So like I said, it's not magic. And my soup is ready. So enjoy life, enjoy food. Careful what food, careful how much food, careful why you're eating food. And I will share some more food stuff. Probably later today, I'll make another video. And then tomorrow is my weigh-in. And I'll see how I'm doing. I took a middle weigh-in, which I don't always do, and that's looking okay. But we want to keep progress going downwards so that I keep losing weight. It's a long way to go. It's probably at least a 2.5, 3-year journey to get anywhere near a good goal weight. And hopefully over that time, I will also be training myself, my brain, to not gain it back. And the bread is done. So about 3.5 hours of cooking, like I said. It's not just baking, it's got to mix and knead and all that fun stuff. So the bread is in here. We have to dump it out. Oops, give it a little pat. Come on out. Great. Of course it's going to stick. There we go. When I'm trying to make a show. Let me flip it over. Oh, actually the stirry thing came out. That's a lovely loaf of bread. What do you think? Got to let it cool, because if you wrap it up before it cools, of course the steam kind of makes it wet. It's got a nice crust, nice inside. Like I said, I make it myself because I think it's important to think about food. Not in, oh my God, I need food, but into what is it? What goes into it, and makes you maybe appreciate it more and gorge less. It's all psychological, at least to me. It's all psychological. So I'm trying to keep myself in the right mindset about food and eating. Okay, so the bread is breading, and I thought I'd film the outro while the bread is cooking. So I realized I may have given a sort of false impression that fat is a total freebie, like eating fat or oils. They're not a total freebie. Obviously, first of all, they are calories, so you're going to burn that before you burn off the fat in your body. Depending on the kind of fat, you can have problems with cholesterol and so forth. Again, talk to a doctor if you think you have problems like that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my little spreadsheet I made. Come on, little spreadsheet. To input my updated weight. So you will soon know the updated weight. It's good news. So here we go. And I don't always weigh just once a week. So there is another weight in there, but we're not going to worry about it. It's also good news. So we insert the date. We insert the new weight. And presto magico. Oh, we do need to copy that down. Hang on. Copy down a formula that for some reason doesn't like copying. And paste it in. Okay, so what we have is we have current weight 529.2. Loss since last weigh-in is actually 6.0. Total loss right now is 21.8 since the first official weight that I made, which is on 6/24. So, you know, it's a month and a half. And then the total loss per day, I kind of do that as a curiosity thing, 0.44 pounds. So I'm going slow, and I know that I could go fast. I could go easily very fast, but it would plateau rapidly, and I wouldn't be able to sustain whatever it was that I was doing. I looked at this from the beginning as this needs to be a long goal, because it's a long goal. It's a long journey. It's 350 pounds. Maybe less. Maybe I'll stop before then, but my goal kind of now is to have it end with a good ending somewhere around my 60th birthday, which is more than 2 years away, but not much more than 2 years away. So I wanted it to be a sustainable change. So a lot of it is mental. That's why I talk a lot about things like eating slowly. A lot of it is I don't want to do fad stuff. I don't want to do crazy stuff. I don't want to starve myself. I don't want to eat things that I wouldn't normally eat, because in the end that would be unsustainable. I wouldn't be able to continue doing it. I know my psychology. I know at some point I would break down and binge on potato chips or whatever. I have had some bad days where I know I have eaten too much. But fortunately, my other changes have stopped that from doing too much damage. That's why, for example, when I came back from the camping trip, I'd only lost 1 pound. I was worried I had gained. But the changes, both in trying to be more active and in trying to make better choices, meant that even after eating a bunch of pizza and it's good food. It's not unhealthy food at the camp, but maybe more food than I would have at home. I still managed a 1 pound weight loss. So cheers to you. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the next one. The weigh-in day is going to be probably the Friday next week, not the Thursday, because usually I weigh on Thursdays. Because that Thursday is the reschedule of the trip to the roller coasters with my children. Now that I have a cart that works, thank you, my friend Stuart, who is number one storing the cart and number two diagnosed and helped fix it. So the cart now works. You'll see it. It's pretty cool. And that's my news. Thank you again for your continued support. Like, share, subscribe.